Hey, welcome back to Ask Dr Vincent After Hours with Stephen. I know it has been a while, but we have not forgotten about you. As a matter of fact, I came home last week. I didn't have in me to do an episode right after I landed, but I'm not alone. You probably can't see him now if you're tuning in live, but you will see Stephen in person, not in person, but the video and everything.
I
If
feel
you
like it's in person. Like
it
I,
is.
I, I love that our TikTok and Instagram listeners are sitting there, that just imagining what I look like.
Yeah, I mean, this is the reason why it's important to watch us live, but you also need to go to askdrvincent.com because not only you will be able to watch Stephen, you will also be able to sign up to the newsletter. And I can't wait what we have, or well, basically what Stephen has in store for you this weekend for our Sunday newsletter.
The newsletter is going to be exciting actually this weekend because there are a whole bunch of questions that have come in over the last couple of months, in fact, that Vincent and I have been able to sit down and have a good think about. And so I've written some responses. I'm not going to show them to Vincent before we publish,
Okay,
just as a bit of a surprise for everybody. But if you've
we do
asked a
have a share
question,
folder.
if you've asked a question, hopefully we cover one of those questions. That does not mean that we have way too many questions to answer those. So please, if you have anything that you're dying to ask, put something in the response to this video. Drop something into Insta or to TikTok as a question, or send us an email. Where do the users send us an email?
It's hello at askdrvincent.com.
That's the one. Easy.
That's very easy. And the topic that, again, Steve and I are so in sync when it comes to choosing the topic because we didn't even talk until 3 days ago. Because as a small business owner, just because I've been away for almost 3 weeks doesn't mean that I don't have to look after the restaurant business. As soon as we got back here, I was so busy. And when Stephen reached out, are we doing an episode next week? I said, yeah, of course we are. And he gave me a bunch of topics. And I said, actually, can we do all of the things that you just said under the banner of why aren't we healthier? Because especially after my travel to the US, every day there's a new diet. Every day there's
Mm,
this new breakthrough technology, peptides and everything, but the rate of people getting sick, the rate of people developing chronic illnesses, the rate of inflammation and allergic reactions and conditions are skyrocketing.
mm.
In the era where pharmaceutical and health tech, medical advancement are an everyday news, why aren't we healthier?
Look, I thought that this was a really interesting topic as well, and to be honest, it came up because in one of my feeds, I think it was Facebook, suggesting that there were a number of products that the TGA has cracked down on.
Yes,
Now, you can probably explain a little bit more about how products are allowed to be sold in Australia because you have
yes.
personal experience, obviously.
So to begin with, if you are listening from the USA, our TGA is equivalent to your FDA. FDA encompasses both food and drug, hence the name Food and Drug
Hmm.
Administration, whereas TGA is Therapeutic Goods Administration. So it is mainly, or not, it is mainly for medical device, pharmaceutical, but also for what they call listed medicine. So supplements, homeopathy, therapeutic goods falls under this listed medicine. So
Gotcha.
the likes of your vitamin C, vitamin A, an apple a day, activated phenolics, they
Yep.
fall under this listed medicine category. And in order to be able to market and sell these therapeutic goods, you must obtain a listing. And this listing is managed and monitored and evaluated by the TGA, the Therapeutic Good Administration, which fall under the Department of Health and Aging in Australia, which is, is appropriately placed in terms of bureaucracy, in terms of regulatory compliance and enforcer. And this administration also supervises and looks after and monitors and enforcing the regulation when it comes to sunscreen, for example, which
Yeah.
is another thing that has caused a lot of uproar and a little bit of frustration when it comes to whether or not, or which sunscreen, for example,
Mm.
or which type, which strength they are appropriate for our Australian sun.
Yeah, yeah, and if they're actually effective once tested,
Yes,
etc. It's interesting. So I took it on myself to go and download the Department of Health certificate for Apple a Day
there you go.
because it's available to anyone.
It is
So
available.
if you're a user of the product, yes, you can go to the public summary, and it tells you the permitted indications,
Yes.
what it does.
So things like as a inflammation relief, natural inflammation relief, broad spectrum antioxidants, things that help with your skin health, your digestive health and
Yeah,
function, or
cholesterol, blood
cholesterol,
sugar,
blood sugar, and
digestion.
digestion. These are all the things that are rooted in inflammation. So everything that we say about an apple day must be around the topic of those things that are listed, hence the word permitted indication. So I can't go out there and say things like this will make you say, for example, I don't know,
Taller.
taller, because it is not in the permitted indication. I don't know if there's anything in there that can be anyway, but that's a really good example. Or it can't make you, I know it doesn't give you wings like Red Bull. So these are the things that are, as someone who is in this industry, I'm really really proud of the robustness, largely
Mm,
speaking, the robustness and strictness of our regulatory body.
yeah,
Because now dealing with both FDA and TGA, I have to say that um, there there is a reason why Australian therapeutic goods and products are very well regarded in the international market.
right. Okay, yeah. Because one of the other things I thought was interesting about the certificate was that it also tells you the other ingredients.
That is correct.
And I know that you need to put the main ingredients on the label.
For the TGA, but for FDA, you have to put everything.
You have to put everything.
That's correct.
Okay, excellent. So, and I thought that there are a lot of things that are on the certificate which I don't recognize, so I had to go and look them up. Turns out they're all natural and
Of
good for
course.
you and don't
Well,
harm
these are the things that I personally take every day. So it's one thing selling products to people, and it's quite another thing to take it,
to actually
to
believe and
actually
take it.
believe it and take it every day. And on that topic, actually, I didn't even notice until somebody brought it up the other day that aside from vitamin C and vitamin E, which are your natural uh, generic antioxidant supplements that you might find in your supermarket aisle or your chemist or your pharmacy, we are the only natural antioxidant products that are not vitamin C or vitamin E that have been continuously over 6 years in the
Right.
retail
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
marketplace.
I
So,
noticed that the certificate it had been refreshed over
yes,
the time as well. So there is a way for the TJ to go back and review new products
of course.
and review old products as well.
All products. So this is something that, again, I think it's very important for, especially when it comes to things that you put into your body, and to to some extent also what you put onto your body in terms of
Mm,
skincare and everything. You need to have that public trust. You need to have that yeah, trust. And that, not validation. The word I was looking for was is trustworthiness, so that you the w w it does what it does, number
yeah.
1, and number 2, it doesn't cause harm.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
for example, vitamin B6, now more research,
Big news at the moment. Yeah.
big news have come out and say that, you need to be able to calculate basically
Mm,
all the level and content of the B6 of
yeah.
vitamin B6 from different sources and different types of supplements that you take, because it's very popular now that people are taking supplement stack. So you
Well,
get your magnesium, you get your multivitamins, you get
yep.
your vitamin B6, and all these things accumulate in your body. And vitamin B6, whilst it is good for you, for your health, too much of a good thing
Mm.
can also be bad.
That's the whole recommended daily dose
Yes.
item, right? So I was looking at breakfast cereals with my wife recently, and of course there are a lot of breakfast cereals that have 25% of your daily dosage of B6
Per serving,
per
so how
serving.
many times
Huge.
you go for a second time? Like, I mean, I love breakfast cereal, and not the healthy one, because,
Yeah,
if I
yeah. Fruit Loops,
Fruit
Cocoa
Loops,
Pops.
yes, yes, and they are fortified for a reason,
Mm,
because fortification in staple goods, several food, is very important, and it used to be the only way to ensure, the general population, especially kids, to have the adequate intake
of
of
course.
certain vitamins, things like iron, folate, B6, and our milk is fortified with calcium and vitamin D, which make for a really good public health policy. However, the recent rise in taking supplements, and the notion that the more supplement you take, the healthier you
Mm,
will be, or that the higher the potency, um, I should say, the higher the concentration, the better it is for you, because uh, potency potency is not a marketing claim. Potency can be defined scientifically, but when people start saying that, oh, this is the strongest fish oil, or the strongest something, that that is when what sounds clinical, what sounds scientific,
mm,
are actually not. Because as a scientist, I know that just because on paper, if it says something that is a high number, it doesn't mean that it will do the same thing in your body, because unless your body can absorb this content,
mm.
this substance, your body can utilize it. As a matter of fact, in a lot of cases, you don't have to take my word for it. You can go and look for a journal article. I think it was published by EFSA, so European Food Safety Authority. Over 10 years of their population study, there is an indication that when people are taking things like zinc, selenium, and vitamin A in the synthetic form, it actually increases the risk of them developing certain types of cancer. So this is where I have a lot of reservation initially being in the supplement business, being the healthcare business,
Mm,
because I feel that it is quite despicable in its value, and fundamental in the fundamental values, that you're selling something to people, and people buy because they want to be healthy,
yeah.
but then it does the opposite.
It potentially could do the
It could
opposite thing.
potentially,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I think there are 2 things there that I wanted to unpack. One of them is, if we go back to the cereals, breakfast cereals, it's got the word breakfast on it. We know that they're breakfast cereals, yet I know a lot of people who maybe have cereals for their afternoon snack as
Yes,
well.
or dinner.
So or or dinner or late night meal. So one of the things I wanted to drill down on there is, if you have breakfast cereal in the morning, say 7 o'clock when you get up, and then you have again in the afternoon, how does that contribute to your daily dosage? Like, do these things have, I guess, like a half life? If you take something that has B6 in it in the morning, by the evening, has your body dealt with that?
Uh, I don't know off the top of my head, but from memory, I think it's 8 to 12 hours in terms of the
Yeah.
half life of most B vitamins. And this is a good news, because B vitamins are all water soluble.
Mm,
So when it comes in the form of fortification, usually it it is not delivering the highest potency and concentration.
yeah.
So like you said, probably between 20 to 25% of the RDI. So the RDI is recommended daily intake. However, there is the next one that is called the upper limit.
Okay.
So that's usually between 2 to 3 times of the RDI.
Gotcha.
So unless you're eating this breakfast cereal twice or 3 times a day, every day for a year,
Hmm.
I don't think the risk is quite low. I
Okay.
don't think the risk is too high to be too
Yeah. Yeah.
concerned
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
So if you eat a box of breakfast cereal today, uh, as long as you're drinking enough water, theoretically your body will be able to flush it out. And as long as you don't do this every day,
Mm,
you're safe.
yeah.
The problem arises or I should say, the problem could be could be very different, or the safety profile could be very different when it comes in the form of supplements. Because for the most part, people who religiously take their supplements, they take it every day.
Yeah, yeah, and
And
this was the second part of, my question,
yeah,
you can have some of these minerals and some of them are vital, are really good for us. We should have a certain level of minerals and vitamins every day, for
that's correct.
hopefully out of our fresh food, but sometimes, not so much. Maybe it's out of cereals. Uh, but then if we add to that, how do we how could we possibly work out just how much we're getting?
So this is part of the things that a lot of people in the medical and health allied professional field are a little bit unhappy with how the B6
Mm,
issue is being handled. Because for people with adequate information and experience when it comes to cumulative effect of certain nutrients, including B6, they will immediately look for the total amount of B6 from various different types of intake. So
yeah, yeah.
your food, your multivitamins, maybe your magnesium, maybe your collagen, maybe your
Mm,
uh, 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 B6 tablet, or there's certain types of vitamins that are marketed specifically to women with skin health or hair health that may
yeah,
contain B6 as well. So it is not. I don't think we should just expect everyone to immediately think of the different sources of what where vitamin B6 could end up in their body. So I think simply saying that high amount of B6 can cause nerve issue or something is not adequate for general population.
mm,
A lot of times for people when they decide to take supplements, it is because they're time poor.
yep,
I feel that if everyone has a limited amount of time, unlimited amount of fun, a limited amount of help, obviously everybody would like their vitamins and minerals to come from freshly prepared foods.
yeah,
However, in r- i- in real life, you may not be able to do that, and they outsource it to vitamins supplements to for their vitamins and minerals, and then you expect them to have time to then go through their cabinet to make sure that they don't accumulate a large amount of B6 from all of their supplement stack. Sure,
mm,
in the ideal world that could happen, but for the rest of the population, I mean,
yeah,
I'm very lucky that I know the way this works. But even friends of mine who are very, very smart, but not necessarily being trained or being informed on on this measure,
mm,
I know that some of them are taking a large amount of vitamin B6.
yeah, yeah,
Unfortunately, it's human nature to dismiss risk when it doesn't present an urgent danger,
or an immediate
an immediate.
immediate symptom.
That's correct.
Mm,
So, and that is a two-pronged risk because on one hand, you dismiss it. On the other hand, when the symptoms present themselves, it's really hard to then trace back to where it is. And
yeah,
in these stories, when you read about people with vitamin B6 toxicity, it took them weeks, even months to actually tell their naturopath nutrition or doctor that, oh, by the way, I'm
mm,
also taking this.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's one of the things that is difficult to have a conversation with a doctor who you present with a particular symptom, a sore toe, and you've either kicked your toe on the edge of the bed, uh, or maybe you stubbed your toe and you didn't really even realize, but then you've got a B6
That,
problem, and that's actually the true issue.
yes, and I have to say that, and I'm saying this as someone who is making and selling supplements. Just because something is natural doesn't mean that it is completely safe for you.
Mm,
Cyanide is also natural.
yep. Well, lead is
or
also
lead is
natural.
also natural.
That's one of our other topics actually as we move along. So heavy metals in proteins and
That
supplements and
that
other
is
things.
correct. As a matter of fact, that I can tell you very, very proudly, because as part of our US expansion and journey, we needed to make sure that our products are appropriately measured and tested and evaluated and validated for this piece of legislation in California. The state
Yep.
of California is
Yep.
called Prop 65. And whilst this Prop 65 can be very dramatic. So it can. So if you go to any barbecue place in California,
Hmm.
before you enter the restaurant, there will be a plaque
There's a plaque. Yep.
and says that exposure to charcoal grilled meat could cause cancer.
Yeah, yeah, and in fact, I've been in some of my favorite barbecue places in California, and anyone who wants a list, I'm quite happy to share. The often in the server when they come over, they remind you as well because
Yeah,
they've been trained
to
to
do that.
remind you.
Yes.
Mm,
So that I find excessive. But when it comes to heavy metals, yes, because this is not an occasional exposure to the heavy metal. I expect people to take an apple a day every day,
mm,
because that's when consistency matters.
yep.
But at the same time, I need to make sure that all of our products do not have these type of substances, including heavy metals,
Mm,
that can cause problem 20 years down the line.
yep.
And I'm very proud to tell you that we're third party tested.
Nice.
Uh, they're all safe. We tick all of the boxes for Prop 65. But and however, I know that there are some very, very popular brands of supplements, protein powder included,
Yeah.
that have alarmingly high, alarmingly high amount of substances that are not supposed to be there.
Mm. So would those substances be on the approval checklist with the
No,
FDA?
uh, FDA doesn't have as strict as regulatory control when it comes to the heavy metal l- to
Interesting.
the level of Prop 65.
Yep.
Uh, i- in Australia, we do test every batch for heavy metals and contaminants.
Hmm.
That is part of our internal review and quality analysis and
Yep.
insurance. I'm not sure if that is part of the regulatory compliance here either. I think that it's because there's a lot of assumption being made that it shouldn't
Mm.
be there in the first place.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
do
Yeah.
it because, again, in Australia, we are the only antioxidant supplements that can be recommended for people who are women who are pregnant and breastfeeding. So we
Yep.
are giving it to people who should, well, nobody should be exposed to heavy metals, but this group of people, pregnant
Mhm.
women and breastfeeding women, are even more sensitive towards this substance. So that is, we need to make sure that it doesn't have any in there.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
no, that makes sense.
so for us, it's not really a huge jump to be compliant with Prop 65. We have always been anyway, but it's good to get another lab to validate our
Yeah,
quality.
absolutely. I mean, I know that there are products that, if we come back to Australia, there are products that are reviewed sometimes when the product mix changes, which could be the change of ownership or a change of where the product is made. There will be a different percentage of different products that make up that as well. I was looking. I thought it was really interesting. So the TGA laboratory recently tested a product, and it's a product that I've never heard of. Arteri Arjo King is a
Okay.
supplement, and the tablets contained undeclared medicines, including one that's for treating arthritis,
Okay.
and the other one which is an anti-inflammatory. And individually, they're not necessarily a big deal, but both are regulated in Australia. And so the TGA in Australia has said, no, this product, because you don't call out those two particular medicines as part of your product, and they're also prescription based medicines, and you're selling it as a supplement, then that product is now banned.
and I guess, you know, I always I know it's a really huge analogy when I said that when in Rome, but I think when in Rome, you should do what Romans do in the way that there are certain regulatory rules that I disagree with when it comes to FDA, for example, or
Right. Yeah.
HSA in Singapore, or BPOM in Indonesia, because I just find that ridiculous and doesn't it's not applicable to us necessarily. But it's their country, their market.
Yeah.
You need to respect their regulation.
Hmm.
So the same thing with if you want to sell your product in California, you need to make sure that you're aligned with Prop 65.
Hmm.
They're not forcing you to sell it there. You go there and willingly sell
Yeah.
your product to the Californians. So I think just because one substance is legal in one country and it's not legal, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is allowed there. So, for example, there are certain types of active ingredients in sunscreen. They are perfectly legal and allowed here,
Hmm.
but not necessarily in the EU.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or sometimes the same substance can be allowed in multiple different jurisdiction, but at the different levels, because the
Of
guidelines that
course.
is being used by these regulatory bodies can be very different.
Yeah. The one that most Australians would be very aware of, particularly us slightly older Australians, is codeine. So you can
Yes,
buy codeine in,
you used to be
Panadol
able
format.
Panadine, and I mean I am old enough to remember when you still could do it, and then now you can't anymore. And not
Yeah.
only that, you can't even buy Panadol in more than 12 packs, I think.
Yeah, something like that. And I always had to remind my team who were flying into a number of Asian countries where codeine was completely banned, and in fact, it could get you a jail sentence.
Really, I did
Yeah,
not know this.
yeah. So if you landed in, and probably the most obvious is Singapore, but if you landed in Singapore and you had a 24 pack of Patadine Fort, which had codeine in them at the time, then that's a drug.
So there's a control substance.
That's a controlled substance.
Wow, I did not know this.
Yeah, it's, fascinating. I don't know of any of the details of how many Australians got stopped, but or if you could just say, "Oh, I didn't know," and they could bin them, but could be a serious problem.
Wow, this is well, there you go. You learn something new every day.
Mm.
Uh, the other thing that I want to probably talk about is that at what point can we uh at what point can we stop being obsessed with things like w- weight? Because when I was in the
Yeah,
US,
yeah.
GLP-1 advertisements is
It's
everywhere.
everywhere,
It's
yeah.
everywhere, oral injection and everything. And I do think that this is something that is very scary, because this is a vanity. I'm not saying that everyone who is on GLP-1 drug is doing it for vanity reason. However, this is a medical this is a vanity issue being dressed as a medical issue
Mm,
for a lot of people. I
yep.
don't know what the percentage is. I don't know what the statistic is, but a recent study that was just published this year show one side effect that was not observed before, which was they call it a Ozempic blues or something like that. So
Okay.
basically, because it dulls your dopamine receptor in your brain, in terms of you don't
Mm,
you sh- it curbs your appetite.
yep.
It actually dulls your pleasure center, the
Wow.
way that your brain perceives pleasure. So everything feels lackluster. Everything feels that, because it trains your body not to be too excited when it comes to food, but at the same time, food brings pleasure to a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah,
So by dulling that response, your dopamine processing center is also being dulled when it comes to excitement, when
yeah.
it comes to arousal and sex. So this is
Or
some
even exercise. A lot of people get a lot of pleasure out of,
yes,
the exercise, and the activity of doing exercise.
yes. So I think when it comes to that, I don't know. It's both so fascinating and so frustrating for me to learn, because I'm always supportive of people who want to be in the healthy weight range, right?
Yeah.
Because carrying excess weight comes with a lot of issues, especially for older people. It means that your body is struggling with a lot more excess weight, circulation,
Mhm.
recovery after a fall or after a major surgery
Yep.
can be hindered by this excess weight. Your organ is working harder. However, uh, there's also a line where being too obsessive about your weight can cause issues not only physically but also mentally and
Mentally as
psychologically.
well. Yeah, definitely. And it is as you'll be happy to know that since starting this podcast, I've dropped some weight, which is nice.
There you go.
Yeah, listen to this podcast. It could potentially, because I'm not allowed to say it will definitely, but it could potentially make you lose weight.
Well, not if you're following all of the recipes in the newsletter, but I mean, speaking of recipes, I actually because my father-in-law grows his own tomatoes, so
Ah,
we
excellent.
had excessive amount of tomatoes, like abundant amount of tomatoes, probably like
Mm.
2-3 months ago before the season ended, and I actually made and froze pasta sauce, like marinara sauce, like by the batch.
Fantastic.
So it was actually really good because then you can just, boil your pasta and then chuck in like and I made in like ice cubes
Hmm.
tray so that
Yep.
it's really, really easy to portion it out.
Perfect.
So yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Now in my freezer, I have the ice cube trays for my Negronis because they're square, and I have ice cube trays for
Are they
the
clear
dark.
though? Are they clear?
Well, getting clear ice cubes, there's a particular trick to it.
I know.
So mine are clear.
Really? Wow. Is that the boiling or the rapid or slow? Because
They're
anyway, this a little bit out of the topic today, but
slightly warmer water.
I do slightly warmer water. I do know the physics behind it because you need to prevent the crystals from forming.
Exactly. Yeah.
The clouds, the ice cubes. So slightly warmer water.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also a really interesting one around refreezing. So once you freeze it, water once, actually a lot of the impurities you start to lose, and so
Okay.
when you then freeze it a second time, you get a clear ice cube.
So you freeze it, you de defrost it like
Yeah,
liquid again,
mostly
and
defrost. Yeah,
okay,
yeah, and then freeze it again.
there you go, there you go. Well, again, you learn something
Look it up
every
on
day.
Google. It's
Yeah,
straightforward. Yeah.
there you go.
Back to the Ozempic and the GLP-1s. I have heard a great deal of talk around the tablet form.
Yes.
So last time we spoke about this topic, tablets were out there, but maybe not so popular.
Y
Now there seems to be 3 or 4 different tablets available.
yes,
Um,
that's because FDA just approved a new form of, oral route of taking,
Gotcha.
GLP-1, and the reason why for the longest time, especially when it comes to the insulin injection, it was an
Mm.
injection is because our digestive system destroys the hormone.
Yep.
So
Yep.
insulin is a hormone, right? And before this new wave of new formulation and new delivery mechanism, you could take GLP-1 in the form of tablet. However, in order to deliver the concentration that your body needs,
Mm.
the initial concentration needs to be, don't quote me on this, I think 10 times stronger
Right.
to account for all of the destruction along the way
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you take it orally. So I think the new, I don't know exactly the technology, but deducing from the drug delivery system, it's either protective film or the way that the chemical conformation of the molecules of the hormone is being protected so that
Interesting.
our digestive system does not have as much of an impact in
Yeah.
terms of destroying it before it actually gets where it needs to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
absorbed.
That's really interesting. Um, I've also seen, I don't know how much you know about this, but I've also seen a bunch of other, what are claim to be natural substances that do the
Like
same thing.
berberine and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I
berberine was actually my favorite when I was researching.
Okay.
Apparently, the effects of berberine last for a few minutes, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so it's basically very similar to my mom's technique. Mom, I'm hungry. Drink a glass of water.
Yep.
So again, this is something that I find it really, really evil for people to exploit. In this case, a lot of people who are obsessed with their weight are, in my mind, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not diagnosing anyone. They have some form, in my mind, I think they have some form of body dysmorphia. And I'm saying this from the perspective of someone who used to and still sometimes struggle with my weight, or my perception of what my weight is.
Yeah.
Because I grew up fat.
Yeah.
I used to be bullied because of my weight, and I am in a very healthy weight range right now. However, there's still sometimes intrusive thought that make me feel that maybe I need to lose more weight, or maybe I need
Mm.
to go for a 10 kilometers run or something like that.
Yep.
So to exploit, for some brands out there to exploit these insecurities, I think that's quite evil.
Mm.
And the other thing that I also find myself being pulled in two ways when it comes to being fascinated with the science, because I'm a scientist, but also at the same time think that maybe that's not so good, is this oral, like you mentioned, the oral GLP drugs, or medication, because the one of the reasons why GLP-1 like Mounjaro or Ozempic are very expensive is because they need it to be in the syringe, and the syringe needs to be kept cold.
Mm.
Cold chain logistic
Yep.
is a lot more expensive
Yep.
than ambient.
Absolutely.
So by making it room temperature stable in the tablet form, it dramatically reduces the price, which is very, very helpful for someone who live in a rural area who are diabetic
Mm.
and need that
I need those
need that
drugs. Yeah.
medication. Sorry. So this is good. This is a good improvement and advancement in science. But at the same time, suddenly you can go online and order your oral GLP from the internet that comes
Mm.
from, I don't know, India or
Yep.
China or Indonesia, wherever it is, whilst you probably wouldn't be able to get it here if you go to your GP.
Mm. But as we've just discussed in this episode, there's probably a good reason for that. It hasn't been approved. We don't know what's in those particular drugs. There could be an excess of lead, or there could even be other drugs that are combined that could be doing more damage too.
Well, people
That's,
do go to extreme length when it comes to the aesthetic. I mean, to people doing extreme things for the sake of beauty is not new.
no, not at all.
People injecting silicone, like a silicone. People are going on, I don't know, the leech diet, for example, or
Hmm.
all of these things that are. If you read about it, you would think that why would people do that? But just because they're no longer eating leech, or eating tissue paper to curb their
Yep, or
their
grapefruit.
appetite, or grapefruit. I love grapefruit actually.
Yeah.
Uh, n-
But grapefruit is bad for you if you're on blood thinners,
that is
for example.
correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
It's really good to make Greyhound, which is the cocktail. But what I'm trying to say is that when people are so obsessed with the aesthetic, which I totally get it. I love, nobody wants to not look good, but sometimes we need to stop and pause
Mm.
and think that at what cost?
Yeah.
The reason why I said this is because one of the main issues on social media at the moment when it comes to looking good and seemingly be healthy is peptides.
Yeah. Yep.
I know what peptides are. They are not miracle drug, they are signaling molecules. I know how peptide works. The issue is that these peptides are number one, are being used off label. Number two,
Mhm.
of dubious sources. And number three, there are a lot of the unknowns when it comes to the long term effect.
Yeah.
When you are a teenager or when you're 20 years old and then you are started using certain peptides to look more masculine because you can develop and build more muscles and you can reduce your body fat percentage, but you don't know what it does to your body long term. Because when you're 20, sure,
Mm.
you probably don't think, oh, what will happen to me when I'm 40? That's very natural.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why I feel that education is very important. It will not stop everyone from using peptides, but probably people didn't think that the anti-tobacco and smoking cigarette campaign would work either 50 years
Mm.
ago. So
Yeah. Yep.
uh,
So
this
we're
is
back so we're back to moderation. So
no. When it comes to
no?
peptide, I really don't think that
No?
moderation in
Okay.
using peptide is good.
So I can't use my analogy of tattoos. Like you can get a few tattoos, but there is a certain point that you have too many.
I think when it comes to tattoo, because I have a few, I really do think that two things.
Yep.
Don't do it when you are not sober, because it's just if you really think that it is very irresponsible and unwise to
Mhm.
do that. I believe in personal freedom. You can do anything that you want, but
Yeah.
at the very least, you need to know what you are doing to yourself, in this
Mm.
case, your body. And number two, I think now with the technology of laser, you can erase your past mistakes, right?
Yeah.
But also at the same time, if we look into the history of tattoos, a lot in a lot of cultures, tattoos are a form of pride and respect.
Mm.
So you either put your tribal insignia
Sure. Yeah.
or things
So
like that.
the
So I,
cultural tattoo.
exactly. So I do
Yeah.
think that we shouldn't cheapen it or disrespect, because y- your body is your temple.
Mm.
I do think that if you are if you know how to respect other people, maybe
Mhm.
practice it to your own body and to your own self,
Yep.
because doing something that permanently
It, and
while
it's
you
that permanence as well. And thinking about when you're 60, what's that tattoo
yeah, I mean, a
gonna
tattoo
look
of dragon
like?
can look like a tattoo of worm.
Yeah. Yeah.
A worm
Or a
when you are
slug or
when you say,
something.
or a slug or something. But this is something that, again, doing something extreme doing something that is extreme to your health, or doing something that's extreme to achieve certain things or certain goals, is not new.
Hmm.
We have been doing it for, I mean, if we look at the tribal culture of it, like, there are tribes who put a lot of piercing in their ears,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
because because to the standard of beauty for the tribe is that, and to an outsider it may look like it's something that's so extreme. So I guess at the end of the day, I believe that it all starts from the comfort of your own home, the
Hmm.
four walls of your home.
Yep.
If uh if you're being raised well by your parents, I feel that that is a really, really good start. And I know that now it's really hard, because, and I'm talking about this not from the perspective of a scientist or a founder or anything, but as a father, because our daughter is almost 3 years old. I cannot. It makes me a little bit fearful, thinking that in 10 years' time, hopefully not earlier, she will be exposed to all of this misinformation, disinformation.
Yep.
And the only thing that I could hope for is that will remain to have a good relationship, in the way that she will come to me, she will come to us when it comes to questions and everything, because you will find answers in the internet. you don't know whether it's right or wrong
Yeah,
or
yeah.
appropriate,
Uh,
but you will
even
if you look for it, you
culturally
find.
appropriate,
Yes.
as well. Yeah,
So
those kind
yeah.
of things. Awesome. Um, I brought you a present.
Oh,
I think you'll laugh at, and it's nothing very special, but, grab that.
Indonesian. This is it translates to fragrant ginger.
That's exactly right.
Yes, and this is something that I don't know this particular brand, but this is something that is very, very important for Indonesians. I don't know if you know this, but there is a term called masuk angin, which is
I didn't know that.
this is what's created for that. So
Okay.
uh, we will need another episode to actually just talk about masuk angin because as a scientist, I shouldn't believe in this thing, but I do. Uh, masuk angin literally translate to wind entering your body.
Okay. Yep.
So Indonesians believe, which is really ridiculous. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to debase Indonesian culture. I am Indonesian too, but we live in a tropical country.
Mhm.
You shouldn't have to worry about cold wind entering your body because it's always warm there, right?
Yep.
But for some reason, we all suffer from that. And the uniqueness of this condition is that if you're a foreigner in Indonesia, you don't get it. You will not get this condition.
Hmm.
But when you take an Indonesian out and put this Indonesian in another country, he or she will get this condition. So it is literally not geographic. It is
Wow.
based if you are an
Could be
Indonesian
genetic.
person, perhaps. Perhaps. I mean, anyone who is an Australian born Indonesian, please let me know because I was born in Indonesia. So probably I don't know whether it's nature or nurture, but this happens to me. And the, there are three therapeutic ways to cure this condition. The first one is there's this liquid called tolak angin, which literally means that reject wind.
Okay.
That's very similar to this. It's a herbal
Mhm.
medicine in Indonesia.
Yep.
You take that. Number two, you sweat yourself out
Okay.
yeah, to expel the wind.
Mhm.
And number three, coining. There's this thing that kwasa is that's the Mandarin version. So you use coin or whatever it is to scrape your back,
Yep.
and then when it gets red, that's the wind escaping your body.
Oh,
I know that. I know. Please, I
yeah.
still am a scientist. I'm a legitimate scientist, but I don't know why for this particular thing I cannot not believe it because I
I
live it.
I do think that this is another episode. In fact, the reason I brought it up was, and I brought you this as a present, was I
Thank
think
you.
we should do one on anti-inflammatories. So, one of the things that I really like about ginger is that it helps with that, and I add lemon to that one
Do you
because
know that?
that particular brand is exceptionally sweet.
Yes, I was about to say that the first thing in the ingredient list is caster sugar.
Sugar.
Yeah, you can make this. As a matter of fact, if you are like my mom used to make it at home. We
Mhm.
still use sugar, but fresh ginger.
Yep.
It has to be bruised, not sliced, and not grated, because we believe that uh,
So whole root.
the whole root
Okay.
you bruise it.
Or rhizome. Yep.
The rhizome, yes, botanically correct. You bruise it, and then you steep it in uh, boiling water, but off the stove. So you boil the water, take it off the stove. Otherwise, it will be too bitter.
I like you blanching it, sort of.
Steeping it though,
Okay.
because you leave it there,
Hmm.
and then you basically you can sip it throughout the day. So
Okay.
that's how you make traditionally
Mm.
ginger drink in Indonesia. So you mix it with sugar, but they believe that, or we believe that the rock sugar, the crystal sugar, is the type of sugar to go.
Okay.
That's in my hometown, but which is heavily influenced by the Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine. But if you're in Java, they will use palm sugar
Mhm.
because they believe that it's more nutritious compared to any type of other sugar.
Yeah.
But even even our ancestors in Indonesia know that white sugar is the worst form of sugar. So yeah, thank you for this.
That's quite okay. Look, I think I feel like we've got through a whole bunch of things. We're coming up on 50 minutes, which is pretty good for us.
It's very good for us.
We've covered heavy metals in proteins.
Yes,
We've covered TGA and the
regulatory
crackdown on
compliance and everything. Basics.
regular
Yeah,
breathing. I did understand that I think the TGA are moving to quarterly reviews. 26 through 2026 and 27. So it's likely that more cancellations are coming. Was actually on the website itself talking about more cancellations coming. If you want to know anything about the supplements that you're currently taking, you can go to the TGA website,
tj.gov.au. I think tj.gov.au. I think.
look it up.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've spoken about GLP-1 and the continued interest in those drugs, and particularly tablet forms. Uh,
I really do think that. I really do think that they're again. You can educate, you can do campaign and everything, but even something as successful as the anti-tobacco campaign, people are still smoking.
yeah.
So at the end of the day, it is a personal choice. And I think though that again, that's why I use the term respect. You need to respect your body. You need to respect your health. Uh, and what you do, if you have young children at home, they will mimic, they will copy. So my aim as a parent, and I hope that you all will hold me accountable to this, is that I really want to practice what I preach. Consistency matters more than perfection. I'm not someone who is clean every day. I still enjoy alcohol in moderation and responsibly. If I have a magic wand and say that, take away my crave for KFC, I will do that, but I can't. But at the very least, number one, I'm honest about it. Number two, I know the limit. So 80-20. If you're 80% good for majority of the time, you can enjoy and indulge for the 20% of the time.
Fantastic.
On that note, make sure that you tune in for the complete episode. But not only that, watch out for this week's newsletter. It will be a special one because you haven't had a newsletter for 3 weeks. So you are due for a spectacular edition. On that note, Dr. Vincent,
And I'm Stephen. Thank you very much for joining us live on TikTok and Instagram,
and
uh,
Substack.
and then Substack. And on Thursday at around 5 o'clock,
It's
we're
after
released
hours.
to. It's
Yeah,
after hours.
it is.
We're released to the other platform.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone.